Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be checking out Green Lantern Civil Corps Special Issue 1 by Jeremy Adams, Philip Kennedy Johnson, Salvador LaRocca, and Luis Guerrero. DC's Green Lanterns converge for their first big crossover event in quite a while, beginning with John Stewart and Ellie Stewart, John's dead younger sister who is now a construct, having a bit of a friendly, playful race all across the world. But they are interrupted by an unexpected visitor, Kilowog, under the possession of a Sinestro Corps yellow ring. So this is quite a surprise since Kilowog is actually dead right now, having been killed by a yellow lantern on Karuga not too long ago, and is partly the reason why Hal was exiled to Earth. I had a feeling Kilowog's story wasn't done in that flashback we saw in Adams' Green Lantern book, but never did I expect he'd become a Sinestro Corps member. Kilowog attacks John and demands that he hand over the Darkstar ring he has in his possession, and John defends himself and tries to reason with Kilowog but is defeated and knocked out, relieved of the Darkstar ring. Hours later, John awakens in the Justice League Watchtower under the care of Hal, Guy, Carol, and Shepard, the lantern from the still unknown Earth that we've seen a couple of times in Johnson's book, as well as in Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, because I believe it was the same Earth that John Stewart in that series was from. I'm quite honestly shocked that he's stuck around for as long as he has. He is an interesting character from what I've read of him. I haven't read everything he's been in, but I like that he does seem to be a new, differently trained lantern, and he seems to be now in, the present, joining the human side of the group. John tells his friends about Kilowog's return as they talk about a plan to go to Thanagar and convince the United Planets ambassadors there to take action against Tharos, the Lord Premier of the United Planets and Durlan shapeshifter who has taken over the Lantern Corps and the United Planets itself with a group of rogue Durlans. There is still one problem though, all of the lanterns still have their rings slaved to the Owen power battery. They are very weak to Tharos' power and his own lanterns, he can control them, but Hal has that covered as Jadestone, the Amazo who escaped Amanda Waller's control and helped protect Earth's power battery during Absolute Power, arrives with new replacement rings for all of the lanterns. I'm really excited that Jadestone is still a running character in the Lantern books. He was easily the most interesting of the Amazos, and I love all of the stuff Adams did with him and Alan Scott's relationship in the Absolute Power Green Lantern tie-ins. So to see that continue here, and it's not something that's just sidestepped or forgotten about, is great. The team then splits up into smaller groups, with Guy and Shepard teaming to go to Oa to meet with the other Green Lantern Resistance and help get them out of jail, while Hal, John, and Carol, who's decided to keep the Star Sapphire powers, decide to go to Thanagar together. Unfortunately for Hal, the Unseeing, the three Lantern Seers still working for Tharos, have already predicted this. But the Lanterns of Earth are protected by Alan Scott, who arrives from the fourth dimension to confront the three Unseeing. I really like that Alan is actually getting involved in a proper Green Lantern event. Alan technically isn't a Green Lantern per se, as he is powered by the Starheart, which I guess is really kind of like an early form of the Green Lantern. It was a very early prototype before they decided to move on to these rings. But he often sits out these big Green Lantern events unless a writer has something for him to do in the event, and I like that him coming for the Unseen is no small part of the plan, as the three beings have wanted the Starheart for years, and Alan decides to kind of bait them with that and kind of distract them to allow Guy and Shepard onto Oa. The beings prove too powerful, and Alan has to escape into the fourth dimension, power he found out about in the recent and very good Alan Scott Green Lantern solo mini. That was a pull I didn't actually expect to see, and a very welcome one, as that series was great and criminally slept on. If you haven't had a chance to read it, I highly suggest you do, it's great. Hal, John, and Carol talk to the gathered ambassadors of Ran and Thanagar and attempt to warn them about Tharos' plan to consolidate his power throughout the universe, but Tharos has beat them to the punch, having convinced the ambassadors and arrived earlier than the Lanterns. He's also revealed that he has the Darkstar ring, same ring that Kilowog took off John at the start of the issue. Hal, Carol, and John are forced to fight with the ambassador's soldiers, and during it, one of the ambassadors is killed, revealing to his people that he is actually a Durlan, the same shape-shifting race that Tharos is. Tharos, beginning to see his plan unravel, unleashes the Darkstar power, and I thoroughly love what has become of Tharos, a character who started out as kind of that kind of government stooge, new boss that everyone hates character, and then his, evil machinations were revealed and he took this great turn to like a mustache twirling villain. And I like that Adams has kind of leaned into that as well. He's doing all these big sweeping speeches and trying to take control of everything, and I like that he is unaware of just how small he is compared to everything else. Like, he's so arrogant and headstrong that he just doesn't realize that he's nothing, basically, this villain. And they've referenced that a couple of times throughout the run, and I like that that's just been a thing that's been compounding one after the other. His plans keep changing to get more and more grandiose, and this is like perfect example. He's unleashing the Darkstar Ring on a bunch of United Planets ambassadors. Guy and Shepard meanwhile infiltrate Oa's science cells to free their captured friends, and to do that, Guy has an idea, and that's never a good thing, and for good reason, as Guy unleashes Larfleeze from his science cell, and boy was I happy to see this character. Feels like an age since we've seen the Orange Lantern Larfleeze, and I love that immediately he's just as greedy as ever. He just wants his Orange Lantern ring and power battery, and he'll kill to get it. As the guards are distracted, Guy and Shepard work to release their friends from the other science cells. Back on Thanagar, Tharos has been driven mad by the Darkstar Ring, unable to contain its power as it kills even his fellow Durlans, who then refuse to help Tharos out because of it. To protect themselves, the Durlans summon Varon, the monster known as the Star Shroud, so he can kill Tharos and stop the Darkstar from spreading. The monster does succeed and actually ends up killing Tharos, kind of proving my point in that he was a very small fish and he just got a bit too big for his britches. John, who has a history with the Star Shroud, isn't happy to see his old enemy is still alive and well, and the villain even taunts him and Hal, as they are forced to erect a shield around the villain to help protect themselves and to keep it contained. Tharos, though, in his dying breaths, uses the power he gathered from the different emotional spectrums to feed his rage and vengeance into another person. And that other person is revealed to be Mogo, who has been possessed by the red light of rage, turned into a red lantern who has warped into Thanagar's orbit to destroy Tharos' enemies and take revenge on the lanterns for its new master. Now, what a way to cap off an opening to a new Green Lantern event. The lanterns are all split up, facing old friends turned enemies, a possible war between the galaxy's civilizations. It's just so much is hanging in the balance, and can't wait to see where this goes next. Civil Corps Special Issue 1 was a lot of fun, bringing together not just Jeremy Adams and Philip Kennedy Johnson's Hal and John-centric books, pulling from things like Alan Scott Green Lantern and Absolute Power, and even Johnson's Warworld saga, since that's where Tharos first begun. I love that it all just felt very cosmic. It all felt right. Like, it was pulling from the stories that are all set in space or like cosmically bound. It feels like the proper opening shot to a space-centric event. All the characters who should be here are here. It feels like, as a Lantern fan, I'm beyond happy that we're getting a book that includes almost every major human or Earth-based Lantern. There was some that were missing, much like Kelly, Joe Mullen, Simon Baz, Kyle Rayner. I'm sure they'll appear later on in the series. You obviously couldn't fit them all into this one issue, but I'm sure they'll turn up somewhere. And I can't wait to see where this goes in Green Lanterns issue 16. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.